I turned myself in on my own accord to try to get this taken care of. So I'm just hoping to see if I can get a bond today, so I can be home for Christmas. I paid the bondsman $500 to get me to court. When I called the bondsman tells me he's out of town. I don't know.
I don't understand why you're telling me that it's up to your bondsman to get you to court. That
I'm
looks
going to be
like
sitting
where it
here
is.
till January 3rd.
What?
I'm going to be sitting here till January 3rd after I've been sitting in jail 10 days.
This judge is about to make a major call. Will this man spend Christmas at home or behind bars? He's currently in custody for a theft he committed 4 years ago. Now, while he did turn himself in just 10 days ago, he also skipped his original court date, which led to his bond being denied. The tension in the courtroom is real. You can feel how much is riding on this moment. And honestly, I'm on the fence. Turning himself in shows accountability, but skipping court? That's a serious strike. What do you think? Should the judge give him a second chance or keep him locked up through the holidays? Let me know in the comments, and if you're into content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, let's get into it.
How you doing today?
Fine. Are you Mr. Kelly?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm Judge Sanders. We're just having a docket call today. That's the purpose of this. And what it is, Mr. Kelly, is that's a 2020 case that you had. And apparently, the state is requesting that your probation on that case be revoked and that you.
Yes, sir. So, I bonded out on that case, correct? And I paid the bondsman $500 to get me to court. When I called the bondsman tells me he's out of town. So I called Judge Sanderfield's office 3 times. Then I called the court clerk 3 times, and I called the district attorney's office and try to get a Zoom link. They told me they couldn't give me a Zoom link on the case. So I called back my bondsman. He says, well, what you need to do is start walking. So I called my attorney, Watts, at the time, and he said there was nothing he could do for me. So 10 days ago, I just got a new job working at Kohl's, making $27 an hour. 10 days ago, on Friday the 13th, I go turn myself in to Sedgwick County to get this taken care of. And then, I guess they finally just get a hold of you guys a couple of days ago on the 20th and said that I was ready to be picked up. But I turned myself in. I did everything I was supposed to do to try to get to court on back in July. I called everybody I could, tried the judge, everybody, so my bond wouldn't get revoked. And then, I turned myself in on my own accord to try to get this taken care of. So I'm just hoping to see if I can get a bond today, so I can be home for Christmas. I did do my part of turning myself in and did everything I could back in July to get here. And I just want to get this taken care of. It's a 4-year-old case, sir. And like I said, I just got a $27 an hour paying job, and I just would like to get it taken care of.
It looks like back in June, your judge revoked your bond. You failed to appear.
Yes.
The court issued a bench warrant and a no bond hold.
Yes, sir. I understand that because I didn't show up in court, but it wasn't my fault. I paid the bondsman $500 to get me here, and he couldn't get me here. It was his duty to get me here when I paid him $500. I bonded out and gave him $500 to make sure I got here. And then when he told me he couldn't get me here, I called everybody I could. The judges' chambers. I called the district attorney. I called everybody I could, and it was all documented. I even called Mr. Watts, my lawyer at the time, and no one could help me out. But now that I got this new paying job, I turned myself in on my own accord. I figured I should at least be able to get a bond so I can I'm trying to do what's right here, by turning myself in and getting this taken care of. And
At first, I'll admit, I started to feel a little bad for the guy. But then he opened his mouth and completely lost me. He seriously believes that just because he paid his bondsman $500, it's the bondsman's job to physically take him to court. Like, what? That's not how any of this works. I don't know if someone actually convinced him of that nonsense or if he's just pretending to be clueless, but either way, it's not doing him any favors. Let's be real. A bondsman posts your bail. He's not your chauffeur, and definitely not your babysitter. At the end of the day, this guy is responsible for showing up to court, blaming others, whining about missing Christmas. It all just makes him look like he's trying to dodge accountability. Still, it all comes down to the judge's decision. And while part of you wants to feel for him, it's hard to ignore how convenient this confusion seems. What do you think? Is he genuinely that lost, or just playing dumb to avoid the consequences? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's jump back into the hearing.
I don't understand why you're telling me that it's up to your bondsman to get you to court.
Well, I paid him $500 to make sure I got here.
How much was your bond?
5,000.
Well, that's just the bondsman's fees for putting the money up for you. That's not the.
I figure that's well,
That's not
ain't
to
it their
pick you
job
up
to
and
make sure I
haul you
get
to
here?
court.
Ain't it their job to make sure I get to court though?
No, not unless you got some special arrangement with him, and that's nothing that the court has to do. And that's just his fee to make a bond for you so that you don't have to put up any money. Well, all right, in any event, Judge Satterfield has set that as a no bond hold. She wants to see you before she'd even consider bond, and I'm not gonna do a sideways appeal on this and overrule her. So
I can't get no bond?
nope, no bond. Now, what they have done is give you a special setting, expedited hearing on your case. And this is for bond revocation. And it's at 1:30 on January the 3rd. And that's to be in person.
And Your Honor,
And no bond until that time. Yes, Mr. Regier.
based off of the state's information, that is a 1 o'clock setting, but I believe it is an in-person setting on January 3rd.
I thought I said that. Maybe I didn't. Yeah, it's in person, right?
That is the state's understanding, Your Honor.
Yes, I understand that too. So, that
So I'm
looks
gonna
like
be sitting
where it
here
is.
till January 3rd.
What?
I'm gonna be sitting here till January 3rd after I've been sitting in jail 10 days.
Yes. Well, then I suggest that you do. I take it that you don't have money for a lawyer, and Mr. Watts had previously represented you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what you might do, because I'm at this point, I'm going to go ahead and reappoint him for you, is you might get a hold of him and see.
Ain't no way of getting a hold of him. I've been trying to get a hold of him for a week.
You have his number?
Yeah, I got his number. My wife got his number. My mom got his number. We all been trying to get a hold of him for a week. I've been sitting in Sedgwick County Jail for a week.
Well, I'd suggest that maybe you try to give him a call this afternoon. If in any event,
How's that gonna help me any?
well, he could maybe file an emergency motion with Judge Satterfield, because I'm not going to overrule another judge here on that.
All right, so I guess we done here then.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. You're excused.
Your Honor, could you repeat the time for the January 3rd date,
Yes.
please?
It's January the 3rd at 1 p.m. and she wants that in person. So I take it that means he needs to be at the courthouse in court.
Do you think the judge made the right call here? Personally, I do. Sure, spending Christmas behind bars isn't ideal. But when you break the law and skip court, there are consequences. That's just the reality of it. This guy made his choices, and now he's facing the outcome. In my opinion, the judge's decision was completely justified. What really threw me off was how emotional he got during the hearing, crying, blaming the bondsman, acting like it was someone else's job to make sure he showed up to court. Come on, man. That responsibility is all on you. If you miss your court date, you can't just pass the blame. That's not how the system works. And let's talk about that job claim. 27 miles an hour at Kohl's? That raised some eyebrows. Maybe I'm wrong, but that doesn't sound like a typical starting wage there. It felt like he was exaggerating, hoping it might sway the judge. I was actually surprised the judge didn't call that out, but to be honest, it wouldn't have made much of a difference in the end. I've got to give credit to the judge for standing his ground. The law's clear. If you violate your bond, especially by missing court, there are real consequences. It's not something you can just sweep under the rug. I thought the verdict was completely fair. But what do you think? Should the judge have given him another shot, or was this the right move? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future uploads. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.